At FIE, we're not just
students
and faculty.
We're not only learners
and lecturers.
We are expanding minds,
Expanding futures.
We're redefining the classroom.
We are life-changing.
eye-opening. We are a community
Driven by our values.
That wants you.
you.
Yes, you.
To join.
Hello and welcome to In the Field, a podcast from FIE where we will be exploring all things study abroad. I'm Dr Heidi James-Dunbar, writer in residence and faculty, and I will be your host. I've just returned from the 12th SGLC, or Student Global Leadership Conference, here in London at the Royal Geographical Society. You may have heard me discuss the SGLC and the opportunities to attend and present with Rebecca Claris and Victor Mellors in a previous episode. But here today, I'm reporting from the SGLC Saturday session where I had the pleasure to talk to delegates, students and presenters about their work, their experience presenting and key highlights and takeaways from the conference. The theme this year was inclusive leadership, establishing cultural connections and challenging stereotypes. And among the aims of the conference was for all attendees to really consider the role of leaders and what inclusive leadership means in our society, and the value of inclusive leadership in forging a better present and future for everyone. To start the day, we heard from Ngozi Cadmus, who's the CEO of Happy Workers and founder of the Black Women's Rest Revolution, who gave a thought-provoking and inspiring keynote speech on why global majority leaders must rest from systemic oppression and why rest is essential for resilience, healing, and long-term leadership success. Let's hear from some of the audience.
So we've just watched the incredible keynote from Ngozi Cadmus where she talked about rest. What does rest mean?
I'm Asosa. I'm from Marist University back in New York. We'll be here at a study abroad, so I actually came from Dublin. To be honest, if you asked me this before the talk, I would probably say rest is just, it's rest in the fullness of the word. But now breaking it down after that talk, I would definitely say rest is something very essential. It's not meant to be a want, but a need. It's something I genuinely need to incorporate, not just into my student life, but also into my future work life. It runs really deep. And yeah, that is what I see rest as now.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. I mean, Ngozi said that rest is a radical act of resistance. I mean, I thought that was just so profound. What can you say about that? What did that mean for you?
To be honest, after she said that, I was like, whoa, because she said you can be replaced, but you're not replaceable. And honestly, that is so true because I feel like not just as Black women, not just as Asians, not just as Latinx, like we feel like we do need to work 3 times harder than everybody else. We need to push ourselves more than everyone else is doing just because we might not be given the same privileges as everybody else. But seeing rest as not something that will draw me back in the workforce, but something that is actively working as a resistance towards that, I feel like it's really, really profound in every sense of it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
After a break for coffee, our delegates could choose to participate in a wide range of sessions with presentations from specialists, scholars, professionals, and student delegates. The sessions were categorised into 4 pathways, including the workplace, transformation, the mind and the body, as well as the main keynote and panel events. As you can hear from the recordings, it was a fantastic, buzzing atmosphere with really engaged participants.
So I'm here with Asosa, who just presented, also presented with Madison and Keys, and you're all students at Marist, that's right, and but studying abroad in Dublin, which is fantastic, and you gave the most amazing presentation, which was titled "The World Could Use More Female Leaders." Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Of course. I think when we first saw the SGLC theme for the year, we were very moved towards presenting based off gender inclusivity and more particularly in governance and in business. We feel like it's like different sectors that aren't talked about enough. My team and I, we decided that instead of randomly talking about different women in different societies around the world, we sort of personalize it into places we're from, so Nigeria, Rwanda, and America. And the information we found was very profound in the terms of we literally saw our questions being answered little by little, especially in places like Rwanda, I would say, because they have actual rules implemented for women leadership. So I would say that that was really interesting. Obviously, in America, it's a work in progress, but it's work regardless. So, like, I would not downplay it. And Nigeria as well, I would say, respectively. But yeah, it was a really nice experience. And I'm so glad that our presentation could make a difference the little way it could. You know.
Yeah, it really did make a difference, I think. People were really engaged in yours. What do you think would be the main issue you would like for the audience to have taken away from your presentation?
I'll definitely say the necessity of unity, because we're talking about women in leadership and how it's not necessarily something talked about enough, but we don't want it to be a case that men look at this and say, what about us? You know, because we're talking about gender inclusivity. So everyone as a whole, not just, oh, women should be empowered, but men as well. It should be unity. It shouldn't be women this way, men that way. It should be men and women come together and actively work together, you know? Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was brilliant. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you so much for having me.
The panel discussion, Rethinking Foundations of Leadership for a Diverse World, moderated by Graham Box, with speakers Ramsey Fawaz, Sarah Ann Filson, Ken Hassel and Nada Silman, explored the conference theme with questions such as how is the change to genuinely inclusive leadership possible when power currently resides in traditional exclusionary structures, and which strategies are most likely to produce a more inclusive society, and which strategies will be most effective when confronting opposition to this imperative. The audience was really engaged in this session and asked the panel some important and challenging questions. And as you'll hear, we left feeling uplifted and inspired.
Hey, tell me, what did you make of the panel session?
I thought it was really interesting. It definitely gave me new perspectives on certain topics. I really liked the discussions on sort of cancel culture and woke culture and sort of the hypocrisies of liberal attitudes. And it really, I guess, helped me re-examine how to go about future dialogues with people who don't necessarily share the same values. And it also inspired me to argue more.
Yeah.
And I also liked what they said about how you don't have to like the people that you stand up for. Because I think people get so caught up in wanting to agree intellectually with everybody that they align with in terms of values. But it was really liberating to hear that we don't have to like everyone we meet, but that doesn't mean we're not for the cause.
I think just an appreciation of being able to articulate varied thoughts and to prioritize just community comprehension over just being the perception of being correct, and instead of just progress, communication, and just the steps towards progress itself.
Brilliant, thank you.
We then had lunch in the beautiful spring sunshine, which is really quite special. And it was great to see so many people making meaningful connections and all of us learning from each other. I spoke to one student delegate about his experience at the conference and studying abroad.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Miguel Hernandez Delgado. I am a sophomore. I'm in my second year at the College of New Jersey. I'm studying business management. A little bit more of my background. I'm Mexican American. I was born in Trenton, New Jersey, and then my mom took me as a 10-month-old baby to Mexico, where I grew up with my grandparents, and I grew up there until I was 8 years old. Then I came back to the U.S. and I've been there since. So my first language is Spanish, and then I had to learn English, and I'm speaking to you in English right now. So yeah, so I did have to learn it, and now I'm here. What brought me here? I'm studying abroad with FIE. I've been studying abroad for over 3 months, and continuing my studies in business. I go back to the U.S. in a month. And then this was part of my sort of like my program. My professor wanted us to be part of the SGLC and like present a poster. So that's why I'm here, and I've been learning a lot from the speakers.
What's the main thing you think you're going to take away from your experience here at the SGLC?
Oh, okay. Just thinking about how inclusive leadership is the future. I know in the past it's always been maybe like separate or like, women stay on this side of society and then men take this roles. But I feel like it makes me so happy that the future is looking more inclusive, that people are starting to open their minds, and also the next generation, like one of the professors, he was talking about how we're the future, although I'm from the U.S. and current politics are breaking things down. It's still an opportunity for us to reinvent and kind of like reshape the future. Like we're the next generation, and with the support of the current generations, we can shape a new system that works better for everybody. So that excites me, just knowing that.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think it's like there seems to be sometimes people say it's up to the young to make things better and change. It's up to all of us working together. Yeah, I love that you said that. What did you take away from the panel? Did you enjoy that panel discussion? I thought it was really interesting.
So the panel, as in the one with the professor was and everything, yes, I did took away. Also on the authentic self part, because I know for me, I've kind of just started to be more of myself. Before, I've always, like growing up, middle school and high school, I kind of conform or like kind of wasn't too much of myself. Right now, been studying abroad in London, and knowing how diverse London is, I've had the opportunity to like go to different events that I wouldn't have otherwise gone before, or like express myself a little bit more freely, or like in ways that I feel more comfortable, whereas I hadn't had that before. So that's why when I ask about how do you continue being your authentic self, and also because as I continue to be my authentic self, I realize that some people don't really like that. Some people are kind of like exclude me in a way, like don't invite me to places or like just like that. But at the same time, it like that's why when I asked, it was very reassuring of like staying true to yourself, and also knowing that not everybody's gonna like you, and you're not gonna be friends with everybody, but at least you'll find the right people who will, because that kind of saves you time. If there's people that don't really like you, then you respect them and everything, but you just know that that's not going to be your crew, Yeah. But that leaves you room and time to find the people that are going to be, your team, people that you can go to. So I've been learning that more, and then just staying true to myself and who I am. Yeah.
How's your study abroad experience been beyond the SGLC?
Yeah, it's going amazing. Although I have to say it's been a little challenging, but thankfully everything has been going good. I found community here, and I go to church here for over 3 months, and they've been a great community for me. And also like people at FIE, my professors, my peers. I found great community, and I kind of appreciate coming to London. I wasn't gonna do this opportunity because of the current political stuff. I was fearful that my family could be deported and stuff. So wasn't sure if coming to London would have been the best thing, but I still did it anyways. And I'm happy I did, because being here in London has allowed me to take a step back. I'm always like hustling, kind of when we talk about rest, like I've always been hustling, and being here in London has been the first time where I kind of like don't hustle as much. Like I take time for myself. I've been exploring like my artistic side, like singing and dancing, and I kind of want to tap into that creative aspect more. But I didn't do that back in the States because it's just clutter with everything. And but coming to London has allowed me to take a step back and look at the world from a different lens. Just meeting people from all over the world allows me to gain new perspectives, new ideas, new ways to look at life. So I'm very grateful that I did commit to coming here, and that although it's been challenging emotionally and mentally, I found the resources to keep going, and I'm happy I made the decision. And I go back in a month, so it's very exciting to, it has helped me grow a lot as a person. So
Thank you so much, Miguel.
thank you.
Our afternoon continued with more presentations, including the poster sessions, which I really connected with because I could take my time engaging with the information and asking questions in a way that was accessible and allowing time for process and focus. I'd really like to share some of my conversations with the presenters.
So I'm here in the poster room where students and presenters are giving their poster sessions, and I'm with...
My name is Patrick. I'm from the College of New Jersey.
And my name is Jadis Velusevio.
Tell me more about your poster, which the title of which is Addressing the U.S. Housing Crisis and Section 8 Challenges.
So we made our poster based on the inclusive leader principles. So the 6 inclusive leader traits, which is commitment, courage, cognizance, curiosity, cultural intelligence, and collaboration. These are important to drive the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals that we have for, globally. And we just wanted to focus on the place where we come from, which is New Jersey. Specifically for me is Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I know that I've overcame a lot of housing crises, especially with challenging Section 8. I come from a small family in Elizabeth, and my mom was always on Section 8 throughout her years, so we wanted to really focus on that and the troubles going through that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so just like Patrick said, we wanted to focus a lot on the housing around us. So I'm from Camden, New Jersey, and there's a lot of abandoned houses around me, and also just people who the houses aren't really good or a really sustainable place for them to live. So we just wanted to focus on that and just wrap it around the SDG number 1.
And why did you choose to create a poster to talk about your research rather than give a presentation? Was there a sort of reason for that choice?
There wasn't much of a reason. However, we do think that a poster just gives out the details more. So, for example, a very important fact that we have on our poster, well, 2, is that the number of hours needed in a minimum wage job to afford a home, like a 2-bedroom home, is 180 hours, around 180 hours. That's unworkable. That's working till you're, at your bare minimum, you're tired, all of that. Another one is that over $79,000 in annual income is needed to be affording a comfortable home and living a comfortable life, while most people make just over $39,000. So highlighting that big gap is very important. So we thought that having those stats and facts for people to look at and really, just have in the back of their mind and know as they go along with their day is just important.
Thank you. And how have you found the rest of the presentations and the conference so far?
I found them very meaningful. A lot of the speakers have touched me in different ways and just spoke to me about things that made me see a different point of view and things I'd never seen before. Like our discussion we just had now, one of the panelists, he spoke a lot on just how the world we tend to see things in a specific way and how we should expand our mind and open up. And I think that was very important because in the world we live in now, a lot of people tend to be very closed-minded, and we have a lot of new different things that people aren't used to, and it's really nice if we all open up and see each other's differences and accept each other's differences and not just get comfortable with what we're used to.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm with
Alondra Villanueva,
Madeline Fornoff, Eubelina Brew,
and you are from the College of New Jersey, right? Tell me about your poster.
So basically, we're talking where are Indigenous women going and how leadership excludes Indigenous voices. And it talks about how in the U.S., Indigenous women are being murdered and going missing at an extremely higher rate than other women and other demographics within the United States. And we want to draw attention to that. And we kind of present a 5C solution framework, which consists of consciousness of bias, curiosity, compassion, competence, and courage. All of those different things, what they all encompass is that we need to acknowledge biases not only within policymakers, but also within police departments and how they investigate those cases and how policymakers and politicians are creating legislation to protect these women. When we acknowledge these biases and we actually have inclusive leadership that amplifies Indigenous leaders and Indigenous voices, especially women's voices, we actually start to see a true change. They're only about 2% of our population in the United States, but they go like missing at like 50 times higher. So when we actually amplify these voices and understand what's going on in these communities and do this in an inclusive way with policymakers, actual indigenous communities, and law enforcement, we can kind of like bring justice to these women and protect these women. And we just targeted this because we wanted to target specific global goals, the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations presented. And it targets SDG 3, good health and well-being, SDG 5, gender equality, SDG 10, reduces inequalities, and SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. We just want to make sure that our world is somewhere where everyone feels safe and protected, not only on the streets, in their communities, but also within the governments and legislative branches that they live in.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
It really was such an inspiring day. I am still buzzing with all the ideas and incredible, challenging, thoughtful questions that came up from that day. And it ended with something really special. We ended with a story circle where small groups of delegates came together to share and listen to each other's story, then took some time to reflect and comment. It was such a perfect way to bring the conference to a close. I was left feeling so much more hopeful, connected and educated by a diverse and exceptional cohort of attendees, presenters and speakers. But don't just take my word for it.
Hi. Tell me where you're from and your name, please.
Hi, my name is Estelle. I'm from Chicago, originally from Turkey.
And what was the highlight of the SGLC for you today?
The highlight of the conference was the circle for me because I really felt like it was a very intimate moment between all of us where we shared each of our stories about an act of kindness that we saw, and I was very moved by the stories I saw and how much kindness there is in this world.
Thank you, that's lovely. Hi, tell me who you are, where you're from, and what your highlight was.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie. I'm here with Teens of Color Abroad. And for me, I think the biggest highlight is that even though I've only been at the conference for a few hours because of travel delays, I was really able to find community and meet so many incredible people. And I think that's been a really amazing revelation. And also just being able to be in the community circle and hear people's stories, I think has been really special.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you.
Thinking of joining us next year? For information on the SGLC 2026 and to learn more about our faculty, courses and programmes, visit our website www.fie.org.uk. And if you've enjoyed this episode, check out our others wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. FIE provides life-changing study abroad experiences in the UK, Ireland and Spain. As a non-profit educational organisation, we are passionately invested in making a difference for our students as the future global leaders of tomorrow and the field of international education as a whole. The FIE podcast is a creative and academic space for exploring everything, the people, the places and opportunities that make your experience so valuable and exciting.
FIE, we're here to help you
Unlock a wider,
brighter future.